Howdy folks, Timber Drifter here. Just out for the start of my daily walk. Beautiful spring day. Been raining all day. There's a little break in it now. Just very light sprinkling. So the mosquitoes will be out soon, and it will be no fun to be in the woods. Not until I get used to them anyway. But it's been a very wet spring, and it was a very wet year last year, so there's water standing in places I've never seen it before, at depths that I've never seen it before. So this is kind of in my front yard. The Timber Drifter compound's on a peninsula, bog on one side and this on the other. And that's actually all bog that way too. So this is normally just wet marsh. You can't normally see water there, but it is flowing. And it flows into this little seasonal creek here that in typical years only flows maybe 3 months. And that's generous. But last year it flowed all year. And that flows into the bog that's south of my house. There you can see one of my temporary tarp sheds in the roof to my cabin. It's part of the Timber Drifter compound, the only part I'm comfortable showing you right now, even though I just did my big spring cleanup. Gonna keep this place on the down low for now. But anyway, I'm gonna go for a quick walk in the woods. This is the trail I use to get to what I call my private patch of woods. It's a national forest surrounded by private property, almost entirely surrounded, so there's hardly ever anyone in there unless it's hunting season. So I'm going to pause it and I'll pop back up at the next little pond, seasonal pond I come to. Alright, so this is the part of the trail where I normally enter the woods. I go one of 3 ways, and this time we're going north. So there's the outlet to this next little pond, and it's flowing through the sphagnum moss there, underground, and then down this hill to that bog there. Unfortunately, the light's not great. It's almost 6 p.m., which I got about a little bit less than an hour of good daylight. So yeah, this is not normally a pond at all. It's normally just a puddle, a marshy puddle. Alright, here's the next pond. This one flows into that last one. This landscape right around here is a series of descending ridges. And so with all the water, it's draining down into this main bog to the south here. There's all these just little seasonal creeks, and it's really beautiful. It actually caused me to get lost yesterday. I know these woods quite well. I mean, I recognize, if I ever get turned around, I've been back here long enough, I recognize individual trees. Like this cedar right here. But the way the forest is right now, there's no ferns or grass, so the landscape, the actual forest floor is totally visible. You can see the contour of the landscape. That doesn't fit my mental picture very well, because it's either snow covered with drifts or it's ferns. And with water where there's not normally water, I suddenly got confused yesterday. And even though I recognized the trees, paper birch, I had that odd feeling of misdirection. That's a pretty decent pathway there, but I rarely use it. Leave that to the deer. Here's the next pond up. This one flows into those other two. Maybe you can tell if you're used to this kind of environment, but this is normally not have standing water in it. If it does, it might just be right there, just right on the edge. It's typically just marsh grass and alder, which is what you're seeing out there. This is where I got lost the other day. I popped out in here and I thought, where the hell am I? So this is the next pond up. There's actually exposed water between these two. That's the next one up the water course, and my foot is stuck in mud. There. This is not an easy kind of environment to film oneself in. It's easy enough to walk through, but not easy to keep the camera dry. This is the other side of that last pond. So there's no exposed flowing water here. Where it's coming from now is this course here that goes up to the next high point where there's standing water. So we're going to head up that way and see what we can find. It really is slightly disorienting being here with, because we've just come out of 5.5, 6 months of snow on the ground, and the ferns haven't come up yet, and there aren't leaves on the trees. There's way more light down here on the forest floor than there typically is. And soon enough, all the ferns will be up. Those tall maples with no leaves on them. Bet you can see the bud clusters though. Alright. Coming out to a little bit of an open space here. So this is all third growth forest here. People think it's big, but some of this back in here is second growth, but most of it around here is third growth forest. There's some massive trees back that way. So I just jumped a bunch of turkeys right before I turned the camera on. So their purple heads bobbing off through the brush. Not very quiet either. So yesterday I stood right here on this path and the sun was shining down, warming up the forest floor, and there's ducks flying away up here, releasing that intense pine needle perfume. Took me back to when I first moved up here. So this is the open big bogs that all that water's draining out of. There's never that much water in there. First time I've ever seen that. When I walked up here, I spooked a couple of ducks off of it. It's an old logging road that was put through here. This place has got a lot of memories for me. When I first moved to this chunk of land right here, I used to get lost fairly often. Learning the direction of the ridges and the treetops and all that. And I always ended up coming out here for some reason or another, because of the shape of the ridges. Then I would know where I was. So for a long time, this was my central spot, locating myself. And in the the map in my head, it really still is. For this little section of woods anyway. So full of water. So here this logging road, trees have fallen all the way across it, nobody's cleared it off. I'm not going to. So I saved the best for last. Even last year, with all the water we had, never saw more than a puddle in this pond, and it's full. It's a couple of feet deep. This video will likely end very abruptly, because I think I'm just about out of space. Deer hunter left a whole trail of ribbons through here. I'm tempted to pull them down. That's really a gorgeous place. Smoking a old Dr. Grayboe beater. It's got a cracked shank, and I don't care if it gets wet. Yeah. Anyway, just wanted to share this with y'all. Beautiful, wet, rainy spring in the Northwoods. We really appreciate your oilcloth clothes. And a pipe you don't mind getting wet. Planning one of these years to harvest some wild leeks and transplant them right here in this area. A little forest gardening. Right here at this end, which is relatively shallow. Of course, it won't have water in it most of the time. Yep, strange sight to see the crowns of those trees with no leaves in them but no snow on the ground. Every year I manage to forget. Alright folks, get outside and enjoy the spring. Take care.